Hey everybody, and welcome to the Google Small Business Community. My name is Casey Monroe, I'm one of your moderators. And today we're going to talk a little bit about video. We've got some research from Forrester that says that a video is valued at 1.8 million words. That is an insane amount of text. It's like 3,600 web pages. So rather than spending hours and hours and hours writing web content, you can put together a single video and get the same benefit out of it. So if this is true, then we want to make sure that we're spending a lot of time going over how you can use video to drive your business. So today we have Emmy from the YouTube team. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do with YouTube, what your background is, and what kind of work that you've done with them so that we can get caught up here.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Of course.
So yes, I'm Emmy. I am a video product expert at YouTube, but before that I was working for a mobile app called Director, and that is a template-based video making app. So I kind of like to describe it as paint for number, but for video. So
nice.
Director gives you kind of the plan of a video to make and what shots you should get and what you should say in each of those shots, and you just fill it in and edit it all on your smartphone.
So it gives you blanks to fill in, basically,
Yes.
is what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I was making all of the base videos that become those templates and writing all the guidance for them. So all about empowering small businesses to make great video content with just their smartphone.
So you were the perfect person to ask these questions too. You
hope
have literally written the book on. Oh, okay, so this is before we begin though. We do have an initiation question that we ask everybody that we do a hangout with here in the Google Small Business Community, and that is this: if you could have a hangout yourself with anyone you wanted, real or fictional, living or dead, who would it be? Why? And what is the most embarrassing question that you would ask them?
Okay, this might be kind of cheesy and maybe a little bit of a downer, but...
We've gotten some really cheesy answers, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay, well, my grandpa died a long time ago before I was born, and so I never ever got to meet him. So I would just be curious to talk to him, and I don't know if I'd ask him any embarrassing questions, but probably would love to know some embarrassing stuff about my mom.
That you can hold over her later.
Exactly, yeah, and she would have no idea how I figured it out. But I realized that, he would have no idea what I do because, he passed away before the internet was even a thing. So I'd have to just be like, Grandpa, don't even worry about what I do. I make video. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, I'm a filmmaker, kind of.
And it's very lucrative. I promise, yeah. So
that's good. We've gotten a lot of really sort of goofy celebrity answers, and you come in here with I'd like to meet my grandfather, and it's just like, oh, I feel kind of bad now.
Sorry, I don't want to bring it down. Just,
Sorry. Okay. So let's, before we kind of dive into the nitty gritty of how to make the video content and all that sort of thing, let's talk a little bit about before we talk about how, let's talk about why. Why is video important? Why is it a viable strategy for a small business? How can you use it, and what can you do with it that you can't do with something else like text on a web page?
Yeah, so I mean, it's so easy to make a text ad or a newsletter or something, but people are really going to connect with a video. If they see a person, they're going to connect with that person way more than they're going to connect with a static product.
Or a paragraph.
Yeah, or a paragraph, or even just a picture. If they see somebody interacting with them, then it's going to mean so much more, and it's going to be so much more impactful. Yeah, and they also, I think connecting with stories is also really important. I think getting told a story by a real person is going to mean so much more to them, and have them identify with your product or your business or service, so much more.
It's a lot easier to process information when it comes to you in narrative form. So
yeah,
it sticks better.
Definitely.
So before we dive too far into the Q&A, let's give you guys a little bit of background on why we put this particular HOA together specifically for today. Earlier this week in the community, we posted a video about a small business called Huckleberry Bicycles. Now, we put this video together. They're located out here in San Francisco, and if you haven't seen the video yet, we're going to go ahead and play it for you now so everybody can get caught up. Can we roll the video? So now having seen this video, we're really excited about how well we were able to put this together, and Emmy is the person who worked with us to create that video for Huckleberry. But if you think that we spent a lot of money on an agency or on fancy equipment to put together, we actually managed to put that together in just under 3 hours or so on a Monday morning. And part of the reason why we wanted to have this session was so that we could talk to you guys about how we did it and how you can do it too for your own business. So can you give us a little sort of like background on how on the goals of a video like that, like the reason to build it and what sort of business goal you're going to drive?
Yeah, definitely. So this was, as you saw by the title, a day in the life video, which is almost kind of like a mini documentary that's meant to show off what a typical day looks like at any business. So this is a video that's really good to show on a blog, or it could even be a front page video because it just kind of gives you a pretty...
get to know the company.
Yeah, just an overview of what goes on the day to day.
Okay, so but this is just one of a bunch of different kinds of possible videos that a small business could make.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a ton of different kind of videos that any business can make. Two that kind of stick out the most to me that I see applied to a ton of different businesses are testimonials. Because it's always important, to show happy customers, especially if it's kind of a one-on-one professional, like a lawyer or a doctor.
Yeah, a 5-star review is helpful, but it means more when you have somebody on camera saying it to you to say like, this experience was really great, and I would happily go back to this business again.
Yeah, and if you're a small business, I feel like testimonials sometimes can feel dishonest because you're like, oh, it's just an actor. But if you're a smaller business, it's going to be a real customer, and that's what's really important to people.
Yeah.
And then another thing is just a tip video, which can be applied to really any kind of business. Any kind of retail store. If it's a clothing shop, it can be like 5 ways to wear this piece, or 5 things.
Show people, like to educate the customer, and which establishes you as somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. So it could be like a list video like that, or just a quick tip. That you do like once a week or something, but that can really be applied to any business.
So if you're a mechanic, you can do a video about how to get better gas mileage or keep your car out of the shop, things like that.
Yeah.
Or if you own a hardware store, you can talk about maintaining your tools and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right there, those are 2 examples you just thought of. So like, there's ways you can.
And you can too.
You can apply that to really, any kind of business, any kind of way.
And the business goal for a piece like that is to establish you as somebody who knows about the subject, somebody who's trustworthy and wants to help. Your customer
definitely.
base.
Yeah, I mean, it gives it a face. If the business owner is showing it off, it's showing that person. Yeah, it's establishing, some knowledge behind whatever you're doing. So yeah, it has a lot of functions.
So if we've established the why, let's start to dig into the how and how it actually got put together. What I want to know is how you were able to put that together in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, so a big way that the production time can get cut down is with really solid planning. It's really important to know, where you're going to shoot, who's going to be in the video, what you want to say in the video, which sounds really daunting, but I think once you have an idea, it's going to be pretty easy to find those locations, find the people you want to use, an owner, somebody important in your business. So for the video that we did, it was a lot of going in, and I met with them, and we kind of made it this plan of where we wanted to shoot and what time and all that kind of stuff. And then I also think it's really important for a short shoot is to not shoot a ton, to have a really solid plan on what shots you want to get, and then
to put it together
stick
in
with
advance.
That.
Rather than going in and just sort of figuring you'll improvise.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that sounds really tempting, but you're going to end up with a ton of footage that you probably will never want to edit because there's just so much of it, and it'll be really frustrating. So kind of having that really concise plan of what you want to do beforehand is going to make it so much easier in the long run.
And putting together lists like this is something that Director specifically can help people with.
Yeah. So with Director, we have a ton of templates that have that shot plan list already laid out and tells you, what the shot should look like and what you should say in the shot even. So it's a really great place to start. You can always add more or subtract whatever you want, but that gives you a really good baseline to jump off from.
So what kind of preparation did you do before you actually showed up and started filming? What did you put together in advance so that you could walk in there with your plan in your hands and get things done quickly?
Yeah, so we made a shot list. So we were going from a Director template, actually. Director has a day in the life template.
Right.
So I talked with Jonas, the head of Huckleberry, and he really, I asked him what locations we wanted to use, what people he thinks should be in each shot, and we just kind of had that all set out in a document that we collaborated on, and made sure we had that really solid plan. So, yeah, having a really solid shot list and that whole pre-production.
A shot list, now just to make sure that we're clear on the definitions, a shot list is you're just talking about a list of like, okay, here are all the things that we want, all the ingredients and pieces and cuts that we need to get into the video. Not necessarily in the order that they're going to be in the video, but all of the things you want to cover.
Yeah, it's almost like a checklist of everything you want to get.
So that at the end you can look at your checklist and say like, well, I got this one, I got this one, and I know if I have all these pieces, I'll be able to make a video out of them.
Yes, yeah. And I think it's important to kind of keep referencing that as you're shooting, so you make sure you're not kind of going too far off of what you planned, and say, okay, we need this shot, let's get that, and then we'll be done, and then just be like, okay, we're done with it.
How did you decide who you wanted to be in the video? Are there any special considerations or anything like that about who you want to make sure you get on camera?
So for this video, since it was kind of more of this documentary style, it was kind of anyone and everyone who was working that day, because we wanted to show everybody. It would be kind of weird,
if
there was just one person. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We wanted to show everybody. And then all the customer interactions were very authentic.
Those are actual sales and customer.
Yeah. So we were able, we went in at that time because, knew it was going to be a busier part of the day, and we would have a lot of, that real customer interaction, people coming to the shop, people buying stuff. So that was really great to get. So we made sure everybody was in it. But I think whenever you're making your own video and maybe you want to just focus on one person, if you're doing one of those tip videos or something, make sure it's, somebody who's, if you could get the owner, that's great. Somebody who you want to be representative of your company, because that's going to be the face that people see.
So if you're participating in the community, it's probably going to be you.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of be authentic and show who's really there at the company.
Yeah, and that can be anybody who works as part of the company, but ultimately you want to have somebody who can act as a representative and can sort of speak on your business's behalf.
Yeah, I think the higher up the better. If you can get the owner, I think that's the person that people are going to kind of almost respect the most as the person with the most knowledge about that company. But if you have the head of a department or something, anybody that you can kind of put a lower third, like kind of title, saying their name and their expertise, I think that really gives it a lot of authority.
Can you define a lower third for us? I know we have them here in the community, but I don't want to get too technical here. So a lower third is...
that's you see it all the time in the news. It's kind of that badge that comes on the lower part of the screen.
The little bar across the bottom that says,
saying
this
their
is
name,
Emmy.
Emmy, video expert,
right.
That kind of thing. And I think that really shows, people will get a really good sense of what that person does and really respect them if they're, seeing that they're the expert in something at your company.
Yeah, you can also do this in the Hangout on Air software. It's built in, and you can see that we do some of these on the Google Small Business community. When we have a Hangout with the advisors, you'll see, community moderator with a little logo on it or something like that. And so that's built into the software. And if you're doing an HOA yourself, you can also add those automatically without having to have fancy editing software or anything like that. We do have a question from the community that I want to bring in here. We have somebody named Kathy Ostland. Please forgive me in advance if I've butchered your name. But Kathy was asking specifically about the Director app. She wanted to know if it was available for Android right now.
It's only available for iOS, for iPhones right now. But next year we're going to be developing an Android app for it. So.
Gotcha. So Android is in the works, just not ready yet.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint, but be patient. I promise we'll have it for you eventually. Let's talk a little bit about the actual. We've talked about building a shot list and deciding what shots you're going to do. How do you actually choose which shots you want to be on the list?
So that's really going to depend on what kind of video you have. If it's a testimonial video, it's going to be a lot of straight on shots of people, kind of talking heads, as you can call them. But
kind of like what you've got here,
just like
a little
this.
bit.
But I always think it's really important to have a variety of shots, even in a talking head thing like this. Like right now you can see we're switching between a few different cameras, and I think that kind of keeps it interesting and dynamic. And for this we're using multiple cameras, but you can even simulate that with one camera by shooting some shots, some of your script straight on, and then some of your script kind of at an angle. Even just having that little bit of variety. But if you're doing something like that day in the life video, you can see, there were a lot of pans, kind of moving the camera, getting different angles, getting up close, getting out wide. And I think that just having that is going to make it much more visually interesting and keep people engaged than just, one kind of screen the whole time. And you could be talking about the most interesting thing in the world, but it's going to be hard to watch. So
it doesn't need to be a Michael Bay film, but you want to have at least a little bit of, just something, a little bit of change to keep sort of the angle fresh.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's, we have a lot of people who, hopefully anyway, are going to be trying this for the first time. So what would you recommend to them? What would you want to remind them of? Like things that are easy to forget when you're shooting a video, or things that are easy to lose track of?
Yeah, I think that audio is something that's a really big deal. If you can hear your video, even if you screwed up on the visuals somehow, if you have good audio, you can still use that footage just as a voiceover. But if you don't have good audio and you are trying to get somebody explaining something, you have nothing. And it's as simple as just going to the location where you think you want to shoot and just being quiet and listening to what that room sounds like, because there are so many noises that we filter out that can make a huge difference whenever you're filming, and you only notice afterwards, and you're like, oh God, there was a air conditioning unit or traffic.
A plane going overhead
exactly. So just being aware of the space that you want to be shooting in is really important. But then if there's a location you love and there is a little bit of background noise, definitely investing in a really simple microphone is going to make a huge difference. And
now, are you talking about like one of these kinds of microphones, like a pinned microphone, or are you talking about like one of those boom style microphones that you'll see on a?
Yeah, well, I mean, it really depends on what kind of videos you want to make. If you're going to be doing a lot of testimonials or interviews or tip videos where it's somebody talking, a clip-on microphone like this is really great because you can flip it on and you don't need to be moving that much.
Think about it.
Yeah,
Once
exactly.
It's on,
you can forget about it and
just
talk. And that's going to be really great. But if you want to do kind of more these documentary style or moving around a lot kind of videos, having like a simple kind of boom mic that you can move around with and it's attached to the camera, not attached to the person, is great. But there's a lot of really cheap options to that you don't have to put in that much money, but are going to make a huge difference.
So let's sort of step back a little bit and get a list of. Let's talk about sort of do's and don'ts. Like, let's kind of break it down and see what are the sort of general do's and don'ts that you recommend for a small business who's trying to get into creating video content for the first time.
Yeah. So what I do, I see a lot of people making video on their smartphone, and the biggest do I can think of is just having some of that really simple equipment. That really makes a difference between a video and a great video. Just having something.
What kind of equipment do you recommend in that kind of a scenario?
Yeah,
like
so
if you've got a small budget, what's the most important thing that you'd want them to buy first?
I think probably the most important thing is to have a tripod. I think just having steady shots is gonna make the quality so much better of your videos, and take away a lot of like distracting and unprofessional looking camera shake.
Tilts and shaking.
Yeah. I mean, you can try to hold it really steady, but at the end of the day, you're holding it, so it's not gonna look the greatest. So having a tripod and then having a microphone, like I said, really important. And really, as long as you have those basic pieces, you can go crazy. You could get lights, you could get, all this kind of madness. But having that microphone, having a tripod is going to make a huge difference.
Is there any particular kinds you recommend, ones that you would suggest for people who are looking to get one?
I'd say if you want to get a clip-on microphone, I use the microphone company Rode, R-O-D-E, makes a lavalier. That's what these microphones are called. Lavalier microphone called the Smart Lav. And it's great because if you're shooting with your smartphone, you can plug it directly into it and you don't need any external stuff.
So you don't need, because microphones have like a proprietary cable type usually, and so having a converter that lets you plug it into your smartphone saves you a lot of adapters and physical mess.
Definitely, yeah. It's just one piece. It doesn't have any batteries. It just all runs on your smartphone. You plug it in and you're good to go. So that's awesome, and I think it's about $70, I believe. So not that bad. And then the tripod I actually used for the day in the life video is available on Amazon. It's by a company called Magnus, and
how do you spell that if somebody's typing it into their search bar right now?
Magnus.
Got it.
That's
okay.
it. And I'll have to post in the community what exactly the model number is, but it was about $80, and it was really great quality for such a low price point relatively on tripods. Tripods can get really, really expensive if you're making a really professional production, and then they can get, pretty low quality if you go the other direction. But that was a really sweet spot of, you can do really smooth stuff with it, but wasn't breaking the bank. So
excellent. Okay, so let's, since we're covering sort of do's and don'ts and all that sort of thing, let's focus a little more on the positive. Do you have any recommendations or examples of existing small businesses that are really doing video really well, that are doing a great job that we can learn from? Somebody you can point to that'll help us sort of say, oh yeah, I can do something like that and that'll work for my business.
Yeah. I think that the coolest stuff that I see businesses doing are just taking campaigns or, advertising strategies or just, social media strategies that they're doing just in text and converting those to video. So, for example, there's a marketing company in Texas that I know of, read about them on a forum, that instead of, they need to call a bunch of clients, and whenever they don't hear back from them, instead of just leaving them a voicemail, they'll leave them a video voicemail. So they'll make a really nice, personalized, short message of exactly what they would be saying in a voicemail, but you get to see the person who's calling you, which I think makes a huge difference.
Just a little like, hey, sorry we missed you, but give us a call back at this number.
Yeah.
But in video format.
Yeah.
Would they just send those via email? Or?
Yeah. So they kind of send it out in an email, and you have a few options on how to reply to them. But I think whenever somebody sees a video that's made for them, they're going to be, it's really impressive, and it's going to. They're going to want to respond much more than if they just got, a form email and nobody cares.
and with a smartphone, it's not actually
a
time investment. It's a time investment comparable to that of just leaving a voicemail.
Exactly. Yeah. It's super easy to make something that short. It's not going to take a lot. You can just sit in your office and do it, but it's going to make a really big impact for customers.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got we have a couple more questions coming in from the community, and if you have questions that you want to ask Emmy, please feel free to send them in, and we will see if we can get them answered. If your question does not get answered and we run out of time, that's fine too. Come by in the Google Small Business community. The URL is g.co/GSBC. And leave your question there, and if we don't have the answer to it, we will find somebody who does. So we have a question here from, a couple of questions, in fact, from Yvette. And the first thing she wanted to ask is, how long should a good video be for a small business?
I think it's really important to keep it under 2 minutes, especially if you're using YouTube. If people see a long, length, they're just gonna not want to watch it. So I think just being below 2 minutes, that video that we showed was about 1.5 minutes, and I think that's a good sweet spot to land on. I think 2 minutes and less.
That makes sense. Does that change at all if you're talking about delivering different kinds of video content? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like something like a video voicemail, you probably don't want to be more than 30 seconds.
Right.
If it's something, short and sweet, then 30 seconds is fine. But I mean, even if you want to get more in depth on something, I think it's really important to stay even below like 3 minutes. 3 minutes might be pushing it a little bit, 3, 4. But think about if you're tempted to make a long video, think about breaking it up into a few shorter videos.
Into a series.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can extend out, the lifetime of that video as well, and make it, across a few posts or a few tweets or something. So I think that. You can keep it short. There's just creative ways.
Right. And if you're posting a series of videos like that on YouTube, then you can put them into a playlist.
Exactly.
And you can set them up so that people who want to watch the videos in a long form kind of way can just click the play button once and it'll go on to the next one automatically, and you can see part 1, part 2, part 3, without having to worry about shuffling everything around and giving people a bunch of links.
Yeah, definitely.
We got another one from Yvette that I wanted to cover. She wanted to know what are 3 things that small business should make sure that they are projecting when they're creating a video. Now, like what are those sort of beats of the message that you think are important to cover in video for a small business?
Okay, I think, well, I mean, that also kind of depends on what kind of video you're making. But I think kind of, yeah, just like introducing yourself and kind of making sure that your customers have a person to interact with. Sorry, I'm just kind of, there's so many different things, different ways
different approaches.
Yeah. Having kind of like a solid person, really, yeah, like having a really important, like a story for people to follow. People really are receptive to a narrative.
A beginning and a middle and an end, even if it's not spoken.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in the highlight video, the Huckleberry Bikes video, we actually had, you could see the store opening and then you could see throughout the course of the day, and then you could see the store close at the end of the day, and it felt like it had sort of an arc.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sorry, I'm overwhelmed. There's so many different ways. Yeah.
So if you have a more sort of detailed variation on this question, if you want to get a more specific answer, please feel free to post it, and we'll take a look at it after. We have a couple more here. What else do we have? Here's a question from Pete, who wanted to know also about Director. Does Director support like a multiple camera kind of a setup? Even like if you have multiple smartphones, how would you edit that together into one video?
So we do have a function of Director where right now we're hoping to expand it further, but right now we have an online uploader. So if you have a few different cameras, you can only edit them within one account, but you can take footage.
Upload footage from multiple phones up
into
to
one,
the same Director
into one account, and then you can pull all those clips. So
Got it.
There's no way to really, kind of seamlessly tether them together, since it's a very, simple app, and we're trying to, do it as simply as possible. But there is a way to get other footage from other cameras into the same account.
So the answer is basically not on the fly, but it is possible.
Yeah.
Okay. We got one more question here from Global Business Impact, and they looked at the Huckleberry video that we posted earlier, and it was sort of showing a day in the life of the bike shop. And if you're doing the same type of a video, would you suggest doing like a highlight kind of a shot, or is that something you'd recommend for a small business?
Yeah. I think that having a highlight day, would be really important. I'm not sure. I'm kind of confused on a highlight shot. What is that?
Yeah, and by the way, if you're referring to something specific and we just misunderstood your question, please let us know. And if we don't get the answer in time to answer it here on camera, then we will absolutely make sure that you get an answer to your question in the text in the community. So come on by, and we'll make sure we grab that. One more thing. Let's kind of sum this up a little bit and kind of make sure that we have something like one little sort of wrapped up package that we can present to people for making videos for their business. What are the top pieces of advice that you would give to small businesses to remember when they're trying this at home for the first time?
I think that we went over it a little bit. I think planning your shoot is really, really important to make sure everything goes really smoothly. Having some basic equipment is really important to make sure everything looks nice. But I think the biggest thing is to just go out and make video. It's one of those things where it's only going to get better the more you do.
The more you do it, yeah.
The more you do it, the more you put it out there and see what people are reacting to. And it's a practice makes perfect. You're going to learn as you do. Video is one of those things where you're going to learn best by just going out there and making it, being hands-on. So keep that momentum going. Be excited and keep making stuff.
Yeah. So if you had to break it down into one little piece of advice, it's get out there and start doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of thing is easy to learn while you're doing it and looking back at the work that you do, and it's a lot easier to learn things that way than it is to learn them, on paper or learn them from an infographic or something like that. Once you've tried it, you'll find a lot of things start to make sense that might not have made sense the day before. Okay, we're starting to run low on time, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate the time. I'm glad you could come out here, and thank you from everybody to everybody who had the chance to come and watch with us. If you didn't get your question answered, or if there's anything in there that, if we misunderstood your question and didn't get you the answer you were looking for, please, please, please come and join us in the Google Small Business community. One more time, the URL is g.co/GSBC for Google Small Business Community. Join us there, post your question up on the wall, and we will make sure that you find an answer, whether it's about a Google product, whether it's about direct, or whether it's about any aspect of running a small business on the web, and we will make sure we're looking out for you. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.